in the Donald Kent studio doing more art for Bizarchives 2. This image is of a kind of H.P. Lovecraftian style monster. It's a mishmash of all kinds of monstrous elements into one big bizarre blob of creaturehood, of monstrosity. And so I know it's hard to see the pencil lines a bit, but I'm going to be inking that now. And away we go. Let's see what we got here. This part of the creature is pretty weird. It has like several sets of breasts, and it's all just discombobulated or disembodied in a way. It's meant to be, weird and what's the word, like offsetting or off-putting. I got this idea from a comic book artist by the name of Frank Thorne, who is, he's worked for Marvel Comics and the rest, but he's known for his kind of adult style, space barbarian kind of Barbarella kind of comic strip or comics through, like, say, Heavy Metal Magazine and the like. He's very playful. There's something fun about his work, but he has these kind of, like I don't know, these sort of female characters with like numerous pairs of breasts, and it's weird. I just thought it was like kind of a bizarre visual to use. And what's interesting about it actually is that there are really old arcane sculptures of goddesses that have several pair of breasts, and I think it's meant to kind of symbolize something about, like, bounty and life-giving forces and these sorts of things. So I'm gonna tone this up later after I ink the whole thing. I'll be using the gray tone Copic markers, and then I can kind of add, a sense of reality to the form of these things, etc. But it's very weird. Here we've got like a bird's wing, and then over here we have a bat wing. This mark is getting dry. I'm gonna need another one. Let's see what we can find here. That's the thing; these guys go dry pretty badly. I wonder how many. I have one person here. Well, hello, one person. But 2 thumbs up. How does that work? I guess my math isn't very good. So here I'm doing this bat wing. Now, when I got the instructions on the illustration for this piece, it's a story. I can't, like, tell you the story or whatever. Obviously, you'll have to buy Bizarchives 2 and read the story yourself. But it's a kind of a horror fantasy story. And in the story, there's this boy who goes into a cave. You can see the boy at the bottom of the picture there. and discovers this creature. In the book, or rather in the story, the creature is not described. Like there's no descriptive, it looks like this or what have you. It's meant to be a kind of a Lovecraftian monster, and this sort of amorphic look to it, apparently. So I did two designs, and one was from the point of view of the monster, looking at the kid coming to him in the cave in the water, and there was a sort of a reflection in the water by his feet that implied the form of the creature. So it's sort of an ominous kind of approach, where you're foreshadowing the creature, if you will, but leaving it to the imagination of the reader. The impression I got from the two designs is that this one was more badass and more fun, and it kind of like a big payoff for Lovecraftian fans, or I should say Lovecraft fans. And so here you go. There you go. That's what it is. And I don't know what I certainly researched this a bit, like these kinds of creatures, and got a sense of what they might look like and how I could put it together. If you look up Cthulhu or Lovecraftian creatures, etc., you're gonna see all kinds of just really sick designs, really cool designs. Almost all of them are very like that, like they're based on like the octopus theme that Lovecraft seems to like, that Cthulhu theme, and I have some like octopus tentacles and whatnot, but I just mashed up like this satanic goat's head with like scorpion claws, and I've got a whole section over here of just ripped out intestines, just to make it like horrific, The Halloween spirit is in the air with this piece, I'll tell you that. Thank God we've got some relaxing music to get us through. And so here I have like a crow's head and a pig's head kind of attached to each other in this nightmarish way. See, and now we have still one person, but 3 likes. Okay, I don't get that, but whatever. Thank you for joining me. I was doing these art streams on Mondays, and today's Monday, so I thought I would sort of kind of try to keep the consistency of that. And if you would, I would love it if you could post this on your social media and let other people see what I do. Essentially, these particular live streams are kind of advertisements for Bizarchives, for the new one at least, and certainly the old one. I usually put the Bizarchives link in the sort of the show notes below. People can go purchase a copy at Amazon. The first one got really, really great reviews. People are loving it. So the question is, how do I design something like this, and how do I come up with the ideas and such? And again, you know, when you're doing illustration for a book, you generally will get some art direction. On it has to illustrate the story. Each one of these pieces that I do. So it's a kind of a fine line between my creative freedom and kind of making sure that the publisher and the writers are happy. Um, I'll tell you for sure, I don't like being overmanaged in a sense. I don't that's not that I'm some kind of egocentric artist, but I don't need it. I've been in this business a long time. I can bring a lot to the table, and when you have people who are not visual artists telling visual artists how to do their job, you're generally going to get substandard work. So that's just the reality of it, you know. But once again, you want to play ball, you want to make people happy, you want to have that sense of teamwork and all that, which is really cool and very, very enjoyable. It's weird in my world. You have to know how to draw anything, like even the underside of a tongue. There's a certain anatomy that you always have to try to stay true to. So with one person here, I don't know how much is going on in the chat. I just came home from an appointment and decided, you know what? I'm just going to jump online and do a show. So I didn't announce this, or people have no idea that I'm doing this, other than like I did just post something on Twitter, but um, I didn't advertise it, is what I'm saying. also wonder, like, how many people are free on a Monday afternoon to watch a show like this. Probably not many. So, I don't know, maybe I'll see if there's any kind of a chat going on here. See who's saying what. What do we got here? Live chat. We got MMs here. Could you do a job if you really disliked the subject? It's a very, very good question. I think the only time in which I could not do a job is if it was really against my values, you know, something that I felt was like, okay, this is, you know, something beneath me on a sort of a socio-political level. I've done lots of work that, frankly, is just work, you know. Somebody wants a particular something, and you know, you treat it like a job, you know. But you know, there's certain topics I definitely won't touch. Um, that's I don't know. I'm trying not to get into like graphic details or whatever, but there's just certain topics that I won't touch. Um, you know, I've been doing this for many years, and if you want to use your drawing skills, your graphic skills, etc., you have to understand that it's a kind of skill that provides a service for people. And there's a difference between, you know, graphic design and fine art, right? And so if you want to do this professionally, granted, you have a niche market, you can sort of fulfill a niche market, whatever that is. Like, I know a guy through the comic book world that just does like cheesecake art of like pretty girls in various, you know, poses and themes, and you know, there's a market for that. And I've been told many times, like, that's what you should do, you can make a lot of money doing that. And you know, I'm not gonna be snotty about it or whatever. It's just not my world, you know. I don't It's just not my thing to do that, you know. I have done erotic art. I actually worked at an erotic art festival once. I wanted to scope it out and see if it was a viable market. I know that I could see certain friends of mine saying, "Oh yeah, right, sure you did," you know. But you know, in all honesty, it was a job-related thing. You know, it's not easy making a living as an artist. So you do have to kind of look out there at your options and what markets are available. What can you do? You know, the sort of erotic art that I did had a kind of a 1950s sort of flavor to it, meaning like it's not graphic. It's meant to be more on the romantic side, maybe a little kitschy, but overall just kind of fun in spirit, you know. Um, the convention itself was quite a trip. You can maybe imagine what that would be like. Um, I'm obviously conservative, so I'm not into all the funky, weird stuff, you know. that is more repulsive to me than otherwise. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing. So there you go. I don't think I'll be going back. I was offered, this, that, and the other thing, but I was like, yeah, I don't really want to get too deep in this culture. I broke even financially, and I just decided it's not really going to work. But you have to get out there and see what the opportunities are. Like, I've done caricatures, I've done websites, logos, T-shirts. Um, just trying to think what else. Portraits. There's times when you have people who someone passed away in their family and they want to have like a kind of a portrait montage of them, or these sorts of things. I've done signs for businesses. Um, there's like there's a it's one of these places where you go to take your dog to get washed and manicured and all that. And so I did the sign for that. And that's primarily because the girl who wanted it was a high school friend, and she started a new business, and just helping her out. So it's got like a cartoon of her dog on it, and it's not the kind of thing I'm gonna do normally, but I do favors for friends and stuff like that. Doing caricatures at weddings was it's fun, and it makes crazy good money. Um, it's a kind of a gig in and of itself, but it's also really, really high pressure. You're drawing for hours straight, and you've got all the family and friends, and every single, you have to you can't make a mistake. Everybody has to look like it has to look like them, and you have to feel it out. Like, okay, does this person want it like a funny caricature, or generally the rule is that girls want to look pretty and guys want to look funny. They like to get a laugh out of it. Girls aren't that, they don't have that much of a sense of humor if you make them look, too funny. That's, especially at a wedding, it's a kind of a thing. I think maybe some people can get what I'm implying there. There's a certain mood going on. But and then you're laughing and talking with the people while you're drawing them. And you get tips, all that kind of stuff. But it's I don't know, it's the sort of thing I probably should do more, because I don't want to say easy money, because like I was just explaining, it's pretty intense work. But I don't know. At my skill level, it's easy money. It's just fairly intense. Of course, one of the upsides is that I get to flirt with all these beautiful girls, throughout the night, which is fun. And you have a few drinks and that kind of thing. Those are usually fairly late night gigs too, because people kind of linger and stuff. Sort of like a wedding crasher type scene for the artists. Anyway, that's that. Ideally, I'd like to do work for our people, for the people in the white positive movement. White People's Quarterly. Of course, Dave Martell with this BizArchives project. I'm illustrating the cover to the new, or the first book by Full Moon Ancestry. Full Moon Ancestry is back on the scene, which is awesome. And he's got a book coming out. He was just on White Rabbit Radio talking about it, so you can go check out White Rabbit Radio on. I don't think it's on YouTube. I believe Odyssey. I love Odyssey now. That's like my new jam. Just love alternatives to the mainstream. Always looking for all kinds of weird gems of videos on esoteric things and what have you. Now it looks like I have 3 people here. So let's see who's here. Check in the, what do you call it? The chat. And let's see who's here. MM is still here. Wedding portraits sound hard, like drawing is easy and relaxing because no pressure. Not at a wedding, for sure, no. What is my favorite art era? It's always tough answering the what's your favorite questions. I'd say that I really love Romanticism. I like, let's see. You know, it's, for me, it's not so, I like German Expressionism very much. It's not so much about art movements as it is artists and particular pieces that they've done. That's more kind of how I operate. You know, there might be an artist who, I don't know, like say, like, I don't know if you know who Paul Klee is. He's a very simplistic, kind of childlike artist, and, you know, his work is simplistic and childish, you know. I should say childlike, not childish. And once in a while, though, he just hits it on the head, like he just nails it, and he'll do a work that is sublime and just super beautiful. Like it has like its own metaphysics or something. There's something to it. But I would not say that like I'm a big Paul Klee fan, for example, you know. And the same goes for like even some abstract expressionist artists, which is generally thought to be kind of degenerate in our sphere because it's like deconstructing Western art, you know, funded by the you-know-whos and all that kind of stuff, you know, all that psyop stuff. But there are artists that are able to take that to another plane and make some beautiful work out of it. Yeah, I think I go through phases too. I think it's kind of like music. You know, you kind of go through phases where you're really into a certain band or something like that, you know, that kind of thing. But I would say I generally like art that is heroic and romantic. Those are kind of the two aspects that I sort of look for. And the music stopped. Maybe I'll go and put the music back on. So let's see who's here. Now we got 5 people. Awesome. Say hi in the chat so I know who's here. We got only MM has spoken so far, it looks like. Okay, I've got some music on. Hang tight. My computer fell asleep. Okay. There you go. So just another quick look here. We'll kind of zoom in a bit. I don't know if the light's all that good, but you can see there's a boy here. Maybe I'll ink him. It brings some context to the piece. So that way you can kind of see, the scale of the monster compared to the size of the boy. So the Bizarchives 2 is really, really extraordinary. There's some incredible stories in there. It's gaining a lot of momentum. A lot of writers are trying to get in on it, naturally. And so that, of course, is harder for Dave to, he's got to look at all the scripts and pick who's getting in and who's not getting in. It's got to be tough, sort of, taking all these written submissions and reading them and then kind of having, in some cases, to sort of say, thanks, but no thanks, kind of that type of deal, But he's keeping the quality level very, very high. So I'm trying to match that with, of course I always try to do, good work and whatever, but I'm really trying to outshine myself on this project. A lot of the time with my freelance is this: I don't have time to really go all out. Time is money, and you get a job and they want it by the end of the week. So you got to hustle, you know, you got to move, and you don't have tremendous amounts of freedom to, I don't know, just take your time and explore the design concepts and blah, 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 all that. You got to get it out there. And the funny thing with freelance is that it's always feast or famine. I'll have 10 people contacting me at one time. Oh, I want this, or nobody, you know. And it's just like, you kind of wish the universe could parse itself out in more even portions, you know what I'm saying? But things are going really, really well for me right now. I have no complaints. I guess I would like to quit my day job and do this full time. It's risky, you know. You generally don't want to take those kind of risks, especially nowadays with this global garbage going on and whatnot. Um, but I do have a lot more freedom than I used to. I'm very grateful for that. I'm very happy for that. I sure I can say, you know, I wish I had that, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, you know. But you work really hard at this, and you eventually develop oh, I don't want to say a following, but a kind of a client base, you know. Like, I just recently contacted one of my regular guys, you know, and I just say, hey man, you know, what's up? And he's, oh, bang, I got work for you. You know, just, I didn't ask for the work. I just reached out to him to say hello. And, you know, he kind of knows. It's like, oh, hey, you're that guy. You're the guy I work with. I'm going to give you some more work, you know, that kind of deal. So it was nice. I've been thinking, it's a strange thing about horror, you know, like, what is it that we like about horror? You know, well, it seem odd, you know, like, why would you want to be scared? But I guess there's some sort of a primal thrill that kind of comes out of it, you know. When I was a teenager, there was a time when I got pretty heavily into horror, like horror magazines and that kind of thing. Part of it was my interest in film, and I was fascinated with the special effects and all that stuff. It crosses over into sci-fi a lot, which I'm really into. By the way, I'm having a special guest on American Zarathustra to talk about um, RPG games, role-playing games, like tabletop games. It kind of fits in with the theme of the artwork that I've been doing, this sort of work. Um, so that should be an interesting discussion. I don't play RPGs. I don't play those. I mean, I don't. It seems like they'd be fun to play. You know, I just have never really had any kind of opportunity to do that. I've done design work for that kind of thing. I think it's cool when people want to get out their own games and try to, you know, get into business, if you will. So designing for people is cool, you know. There's also an interesting story. There's an artist from the Philippines named Alex Nino, and if anybody is aware of, say, Creepy Magazine or Eerie Magazine from the 1970s, they would be familiar with his work. And he's one of the most imaginative and stylistic illustrators I've ever seen. Now, these Filipino illustrators, they all learned from Spanish illustrators that, I don't know if I want to say colonized, but that occupied the Philippines for some time. And so, in the sort of fantasy illustration magazine world, um, a lot of these, now I can't, and they may have Spanish names, but they live in Argentina or Colombia or different sorts of places. So I can't exactly identify all of these different, like where they're from, these different artists that I like. But those guys have had a massive, massive influence on me as far as, comic books and fantasy illustration and the like. And I think a lot of it just kind of has to do with, I was a certain age when I came in contact with this material, and I didn't, I don't know, growing up in the suburbs wasn't around sort of fine art in the traditional sense a great deal. That my education in fine art didn't come until college. So this was what I was exposed to, this sort of fantasy art. I'll give you a quick look at what I'm talking about so that we have some context here. Let me just give you a little show. Okay, this is Creepy Magazine, published by Warren, and this came out. Oh, come on, date. Where are you? So I don't see the damn date on it, but this is obviously like the 1970s. So, as goofy and creepy as this is, there's a lot of drawing skill involved in it, though. You see what I'm saying? And all of these are quite extraordinary in terms of the illustrative quality of the pieces. Look at the light, the storytelling, the drama of the scene. This one is that's not even that great. So there's a little nudity in there, and these horror stories about this like country family that kidnaps people and eats them. It's pretty gross, And then you've got like Alex Toth, who is famous for designing a lot of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons from the 70s. Now look at how dark this is. It's very, very bold in terms of its presentation. And then you've got, Severin. I forget his first name, something Severin. He's known for his work in Mad Magazine, but he does this kind of, it's a sort of a 1950s style illustration, if you will. So, this was the stuff that I was looking at. I, had access to a lot of these kinds of magazines as a kid. And, it's just sort of standard illustration, but it's quite good. If you look at the shadows on the boy's face or the man's face and the anatomy, the drama in the scene, comics are just film on paper. They're film on paper. You've got your opening shot. Some of it's campy, some of it's a little bit silly. But from an artist's point of view, that's freaking phenomenal. Like, that's highly realistic and beautifully rendered. It's really beautifully rendered, very well composed. So, as a young artist who was inspired, to be an artist, growing up looking at this really jazzed me, really got me excited and stuff. So, and now there you see how it all came to pass. So anyway, should I shut up? Am I boring people? Maybe I should just shut the hell up. Let's see who's here. We got 6 people on board. Let's say hi in the chat so I know who you are. No Dog, I got some deep questions. Hit me, man. What questions you got? No Dog. Good stuff. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Doodle Squatch is here. All right, let's go. What song is this? I don't know. It's just Baroque guitar. I just YouTube Baroque guitar. What are you drawing? It looks good. Figurative art is supreme. I'm a sculptor. Oh, wow. Caloret, send me your link or something, and so I can see your work. Wedding portraits sounds hard. Da da da. So yeah, this is some artwork for the Bizarchives 2. It's kind of a quarterly short stories book that is going to be illustrated, and I'm doing the illustrations. So there you go. That one's too small. So I'm just fishing through the right markers that I need here. What we got? That's good. So whenever I'm doing like eyes and I want to use, proper tools for that. Like so. Oh, that's a thing you gotta be aware of. If you're gonna use that size circle, then you want to use the same size circle on the other side, Consistency, Let's double check, see that's the right one. I don't think it is. There we go, okay. Now, this particular creature, his eyes are kind of going out sideways, and that makes him look sort of slightly insane, which is a cool effect. And these, these templates have little markers on them that kind of help you to find, say, like the perfect center. And that way you can do circles within circles, and they make sense. Okay. All right, that looks pretty damn cool. Let's do this one. So, somebody said he's got some deep questions. I'm gonna check the chat again in a second if you want to post your question, and I'll try my best to answer it. Okay. I'm not shy about that kind of questioning. I love deep topics, and I mean that it sounds like I'm deep. I don't mean it like that. I just find them interesting and challenging. I think deep questions are kind of like, Rubik's cubes for the mind. They're fun and interesting to contemplate. Fun with philosophy. There you go. Start a new show. Fun with philosophy. That's actually not a bad idea. Anyway, let me check the chat real fast and see if there's a question. Oh, hello, Simon. Good to have you here. Dino Storm, welcome. Thanks for coming. No Dog is not asked. It's good talking is 80% of the show. Okay. Well, I'm just musing, I don't even, I'm just following the flow of my thoughts here. You know what I'll do? I think I'll switch over. This really nice fine marker, and he's walking through water here, so I want to show that, and using this fine marker is just the right kind of tool for that. Somebody asked me if I was going to do this in color, and since then I've been thinking about it more and more, and I don't want to do it in color because partly because it raises the print costs of the book. This is something people don't think about, you know. But also because I like the classic black and white look. I think there's something about black and white or gray tone, if you will, that is visually interesting. It's like black and white photography, you know. There's something to it that's it's an aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? I think since you saw the magazines I was just showing you, you can kind of see my favor, my favoring the black and white. You know, in some kind of way, it simplifies the work so that the eye and the mind can rest more on the theme, on the topic that you're seeing. If this color would pop it up, I know, but when it's just black and white, I don't know. I feel as if maybe it challenges the mind more to fill things in. I don't know. I just maybe I don't need to explain myself. Maybe it's just okay to like the aesthetic. What do you guys think? Another kind of weird aspect to this whole thing is these different eyes, like spider eyes, goat eyes, sort of lizard eyes, what have you. They're uh, they're creepy. There's a certain disturbing kind of quality to it. But I mean, that's sort of what we're going for here is something horrific. Also, there's something about, and especially this piece, is that I want the eyes to kind of gush over the painting. I want people to feel enamored with it and to just linger in the piece. Let the eye linger through the kind of wander through the piece and have a kind of an aesthetic experience. Um, yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense? You know, when I'm looking at a work of art, I want to take my time. In fact, I want time to kind of stop. And now, the magazine it's smaller. It's like probably I don't know, like maybe yay big or something like that, like a comic book size, I guess. So this piece will be shrunk down a lot as well. Um, what effect will that have? I don't know. We'll see. I think it obviously is going to condense all of these sort of rendering lines that I'm doing. And as such, will make it look, it'll give the illusion of it being even more detailed. Um, I'm not quite sure what it is, but people like detail. Like there's, how long did it take you to do that? That's always the question people ask, and as if somehow time and detail make a work of art better. That doesn't make sense to me. I get why people think like that, but it's from, I guess, an artist perspective, it doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of more about skill and ideation. So, you know, I'm using techniques. I have certain skills that you develop over time. Um, but how about the idea? Is the idea there? Is there an idea there? As an artist, I'm always thinking, how could I be better? In fact, this whole project is me challenging myself. It's saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this to push myself and up my skills. I want to have bragging rights. You know what I'm saying? I want to be proud of this. Show it off. When people say, oh, let me see some of your work. Oh, well, here's Bizarchives 2. Take a look, and let their jaw hit the ground like a ton of bricks. That's what I want. And maybe there's a tiny bit of pride in there. I'm not supposed to be prideful, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, it would be interesting to have this colored. I'm curious what that might, how that would change it. There's all kinds of color theory you can use. If you ever look at people who do coloring for, or rather, concept design for movies, specifically science fiction movies, they'll do one scene, let's say, the planet Arrakis for Dune or something like that, and they'll show it, say, in early morning, nighttime, with these different lighting effects. And the director can then sort of see what the mood is, but also get a sense of like, oh, okay, well, if I'm working with the, director of photography or whatever, we're going to need to have these filters or blah de blah, whatever, So color is very much about mood, I feel. Obviously, you can, like, I use color to highlight things. I use color more as a compositional element, which is, I'll be honest, I don't think I'm a great colorist. I think it's sort of an area that I'm a bit, I don't want to say I'm weak on it, but I just don't focus on it. I feel like the line work is more enjoyable. And then there's the whole question of digital versus organic. Like, you guys probably remember me painting that huge Roman history scene with the sacking of the temple at Jerusalem. It was all watercolor. I love watercolor. I really enjoy it a lot. I like oil, but oil's quite expensive. There's certain toxicity issues with oil. You have to have good ventilation, which where my studio is, I can set it up to have ventilation, but I just don't have a lot of opportunity for that. It looks like I'm going to be getting a, what do you call it? It's a touch screen. It's a tablet for doing digital art on, and where you touch the screen and you can draw on it. It's like drawing on glass, basically. But I'm expecting to get one of those within a couple months, or maybe sooner, probably sooner. And with that, I'll be using textured brushes, and in a sense, you won't know that it's digital, but I'll know. Meaning I don't get to enjoy the organic, tactile feeling of the ink and the paper, and it's like, taking a shot of Novocaine and then going to a buffet. Like, you can't really taste anything. It sucks. I don't like it. But, in this profession, again, time is money, and it's faster. It can do pretty much anything. It can produce the look of anything organic, meaning like, dry brush or watercolor splashes, all that stuff. The technology is phenomenal. But the one thing it can't do, though, is replicate the enjoyment of organic materials. So I'll have to bite the bullet. Now, see, I'm using these markers now, right? Well, I used to use brush with ink. I'd have a bottle of ink and I would dip it, I would wipe off the excess, and then I'd do a few strokes, dip it, wipe off the excess, do a few strokes. And you had to go from top left to the bottom right. Otherwise, your hand is going to smear the ink. So that's the way it was done traditionally for decades until, whatever, things changed. And I don't do that anymore because I've got these markers and it's just faster, more convenient. I do at least have the visceral sensation of the brush, which is, like I said, important for my experience. So yeah, this is really just art talk. It's all art nerd talk. I'm nerding out on the arts. I guess I'll leave this till maybe I can use it. So having these thin lines, say, to describe the ripples in the water, it's nice because it having a variety of line weights is super important to the overall illusion and the texture and the feel of the art. So using a marker like this, using a brush marker wouldn't work very well. You need to have more of this kind of like architectural style marker where it's just like one flat line. I always want to put on different music too. I want to put on like Fash Wave and stuff. Oh, you get hits for doing that, like, oh, this is somebody's copyrighted music, blah, blah, blah. Oh, not that one. I'll check out the chat real fast here. See if we got anybody asking questions. Opinion on Everywhere at the End of Time. Everywhere at the End of Time. Is that a movie? I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. Let me scoot back up here. Let's go to a talk. Hiya, cool drawing. Welcome, Laszlo. Good to have you here. Cool drawing. Thoughts on the art movement of symbolism. I love symbolism. It's definitely an art movement I really, really like. If you look at some of my Imperium art, it's definitely in that genre. Biblically accurate angels, nice. Nice piece of artwork. Thank you. If someone can tell me Everywhere at the End of Time, is that a film? Same color is tough. I outsource my colors to. Yep. Outsourcing is a thing. Let's scoop back up here. Did I say that? So I definitely have outsourced a lot of my color work just because it's a business, you know. I mean, there's your artwork and there's your client's artwork. You know what I'm saying? I'm partner with different people on different projects, and if I'm partnering it, I'm gonna put more of myself into it. Like this, for example. I'm part of the deal here with the Bizarchives and what have you. But more often than not in the freelance world, you're hired. You're hired to do a job, and then if you can save a lot of time and money um, outsourcing your color work, you're gonna do it. Because you want to get to the next job. You know what I'm saying? And I know that that's not very romantic. It doesn't sound like oh, you're selling out or something. But again, it's like if you want the luxury of doing art as a career and working from home and that kind of thing, then you have to play ball. You got to be an adult. You have to kind of see the realities of the business. I moved to New York City years ago to quote become a famous artist. When I was younger and more naive. It's not entirely my fault. It's really that's the kind of lie that art schools sell you. But anyway, so I tried my hand at that, and I realized like they're never going to accept me in that world. A straight white conservative male. They're never gonna. It's like you. Anyway, I don't have to explain that, but I don't know. There were many years where I just did my art. I just did what fine art, if you will. That was strictly just for me. It was a contemplative practice. It had a lot to do with my studies in Asia, uh, painting as meditation, that kind of approach. And I have a huge body of work that maybe someday I'll show or sell or publish. I really need to get around to that. And that's, again, that's the stuff that's more cerebral, it's more surrealistic, very highly symbolistic, if that's a word. Fitting into sort of the symbolism genre and that. So I've used some of those skills for, say, the cover of the White People's Quarterly, the back cover specifically, not the front cover. I believe that if you go to whitepeoplepress.com, you will see that is still the current quarterly issue up. It's I'm actually planning on doing some more work for the White People's Quarterly. I gotta get back in touch with them soon and figure that out. But that's cool. I mean, I feel really, really proud about that. Being a regular contributor to the White People's Quarterly, that's freaking awesome, man. It's again, I'm just really, really proud to be a part of that. I like to be the go-to guy if I can. I do charge, it's not for free. I have to support a family, But that's fine, whatever. It's fine. Most people realize they understand those things, So as I go back in space, so here you can see the very heavy line on this this piece here. I should maybe kind of go a little bit more medium here, and then it gets sort of lighter as it goes back. That's just one of those, what do you call it? Like the illusion of space, a device to create the illusion of space. There's always the question of like, am I overworking it? Should I pull it back? Is this working? Am I doing a good job? you have only your mind to tell you those things. You have to be a critic of your own work while you're working, saying like, you're making millions of micro decisions. So for example, I've got these octopus arms kind of coming out, and it just occurred to me, maybe I'll leave that blank right there so that it's just not so damn overworked. Maybe I'll have just have some rocks back here, but make it look more like just blank space and water in there. This theme of the cave, oddly, is something I did a lot in my fine art days when I was building up my own style, if you will. I think caves are, in my fine art, caves are a kind of symbol for the subconscious mind, and I would do all kinds of scenes in underground caves, which, when you look at them, they look realistic, but at the same time, there's a feeling of like, what's going on here? Like, why is this happening? It's sort of weird. Um, so now, a situation like this, I'm going to turn this upside down to do this rock work here. I mean, I could go like this. Maybe I should do that. I don't know, but like, I generally don't like my hand over the artwork. I mean, it's inked and stuff, but I don't know. It's just like the weird things that artists do, I guess. Right? I'm not trying to be eccentric. So there's also something really kind of fascinating about rock formations, and having done Oriental landscapes for many years, you really learn rock formations. That's like a whole kind of art form in that tradition. Something about like the veins and the fissures and the cracks, the textures. I just find it very beautiful. So maybe I should ask you guys if you have any questions for me, so I have something to talk about. How does that sound? Let me pop on the chat again here. Let me turn this back around. See what's going on in the chat. Same color though. Let's go back. No, nothing really. Okay. Have you guys caught any of my other shows? afternoon at the museum. We just had Jeff Winston on, which is pretty awesome and important. Jeff Winston is the head of the White Art Collective. Um, the things that they're doing are quite extraordinary. And he's a really, really important figure in our sphere. So you get to hear him and I talk about paintings of the Old West, the old kind of cowboy age, and all the artwork that came out of that period, the 1800s. It's a really enjoyable show. Lots of great examples, and beautiful landscapes, scenes of heroic cowboy survival situations, and all this kind of neat stuff. So I recommend checking that out soon. And I've been reaching out to a number of different people to come on the show as well. I won't say the names just because if for whatever reason they can't come on, then I don't have to backpedal. So that's um, schedules are always an issue. It's hard. The hardest people to get on are people from Australia, because like the time difference sucks, and that's just been a pain. But, a little tough having sometimes like people from Europe, if they're like deeper into Europe, like not the UK or whatever, then it's like 7 hours ahead, and they have to, we have to figure out how are we going to do this. What would be the right time for the show. It's kind of silly logistical issues. And yeah, so I've been looking back at a lot of the videos that I've done. I was on it's called XYZ. It's basically the Australian. Uh, I understand it's like the top white nationalist uh, show in Australia, and their website's XYZ. So they had a show on recently on culture. Mark Collette was on there after I was on. I really would. There's a lot going on in the British art scene right now. The Bard, BARD. I had them. I had the representatives of that group on my channel not too long ago. I strongly recommend checking that out. I think what I'm going to need to do is get more Bard people on Imperium Art. That would make some sense. I have to plug in more though with their community and see what they're doing. I know that always seems to be a lot of music in our sphere, which is kind of cool. That's always a good thing. But yeah, so I'll just have to look them up and see what new things are going on. See where I can cross over with them. I do wonder a lot about, say, like non-English speaking countries, and what in Europe, obviously, and what's going on over there, in terms of the arts and culture that reflect our cause, the white imperium cause. It's fascinating too because once in a while I'll come across an artist or two who's doing something that fits into our mission, yet they don't know we exist. And so I'll try to reach out to them and say, hey, have you heard of the White Art Collective? And it's pretty amazing to see how that plays out. So Halloween is coming, my friends. I was out at a club not long ago, and this girl asked me, "What are you going as for Halloween?" And I don't plan on going as anybody for I didn't have any plans to do that. But, since she's super cute and everything, I had to like come up with something funny to say at the time. Um, so then I was asking, well, what would be suitable? What would be a good character for me to go as? And I'm sort of, I don't know how to describe myself, a big-ish guy, I guess, big beard, all that stuff. I said, oh, maybe Bigfoot. Of course, I'm just goofing around, but, you know. All right, so I feel like I really want to get some blacks in here. What I mean by that is some darker tones to pop things out a bit. There we go. Another one. Check the chat real fast. And maybe I'll put the music back on. I think we're past an hour here, though. Oh, yeah, we're well past an hour. Can you do any funny impressions? Jeff wins a ton. Funny impressions. Well, I don't like to use my real voice because then I dox myself by saying that I'm from England. I don't like people to know that I live in a certain part of London. Where I've got a certain accent and a certain way of living that I like to keep to myself, and I don't want others thinking that he's just an ordinary bloke. If you use like a CNN American accent, then people they respect what you say more. So I don't like to use my real accent. That's an impression, right? Is that an impression? So, am I American or am I English? It's funny because I do a lot of good, like, I don't want to say foreign accents, but non-American accents. And if you get a few drinks in me, it's a lot easier for that to come out. The Scottish one is so much fun to do, but it's very hard to do. Um, I can, if I do like say Japanese or Chinese accents, which I can do really well because I worked for those communities for a long, long time. People are always like, "Oh, it's so racist," but it's just I'm just having fun. And that's all. There's no like bad intent. But as far as like impersonations of actors or something, no, I don't. I can't say that I think I used to do like a Donald Trump years ago that you got to have the visuals with it. Like he has these certain hand gestures that he does that are kind of funny. It's deadly quiet in here. What happened to the music? I feel as if I should let you guys go. It seems like we've been on here for an hour and a half, and I feel like that's a bit self-indulgent to keep you here. So why don't we? So now you're getting to see how the black that pops the image out more, and I'll be doing more of that. So why don't you guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day? And I really deeply appreciate your time and your friendship and your comments. Please do share the video and keep in touch. Do Scottish, Japanese, Chinese. 日本語はとっても難しいですよ。ドナルドさん is a very good teacher of English. He's a teacher English number one, number one. So that's like a Japanese right there, because I used to teach Japanese. So Chinese. You want General Tso chicken? So very good. You're right. We're very good. Number one, number two, you come in. Next time we see you, we get you fried chicken you're gonna like. Very good. Number one. I don't know. That's kind of a Southern Chinese. That's what we hear a lot in America. Oh, there you go. Yes, very well. This guy even has hiragana on there. Scottish. Don't ever make a Scotsman angry, you know. That'll be the last day of your life if you're lucky. Perhaps he'll kill you quickly so you don't have to suffer. But whatever you do, don't make a Scotsman angry. So that's a little bit of my Scottish blood. I'm getting all riled up here. Anyways, enough of this tomfoolery. You guys have yourself an awesome, awesome day, and we'll see you again on American Zarathustra. And now I have to figure out how to say goodbye on this thing here. All right, take care, guys.